Hey everyone, John here! And for the last couple of weeks, I've had an obsession with re-exploring PlayStation 3's 3D content. There's lots of really cool stuff, like the Ratchet & Clank PlayStation 2 trilogy, Shadow of the Colossus, Eco, Uncharted 3, MotorStorm. There's lots of really cool 3D games you can play on PlayStation 3. And I was looking at buying a 3D TV to re-explore all this stuff, because I used to have one back in the day. But they're big. They're big is the biggest hurdle. You can find them relatively cheap, but where are you going to just put another TV? But recently we had a comment on one of our YouTube shorts saying that you can play PlayStation 3 games in PSVR in 3D. I was like, can you? And it turns out you can. Unofficially. A little bit cumbersome, but you definitely can do it. So let me show you the setup here. We've got PlayStation 4 hooked up to PlayStation VR in a normal way. So you've got the 6-wire processing box, we've got a PS4 hooked up with a power cable, HDMI, the PlayStation 4 camera, and then next to it we've also got a PlayStation 3, and then also of course the PlayStation VR 1 right here. Now the reason we have two consoles set up is because before we do this, we've got to trick PlayStation VR into thinking it's in 3D mode. Because you can hook any console up to PlayStation VR, any HDMI source, and it will basically show you a big virtual 2D screen. But we don't want a 2D screen, we want a 3D screen, so we've got to trick it first. So first things first, turn on the PlayStation 4, and we're going to get some 3D content going just as it normally would, using PlayStation VR. And a really cool thing about PSVR is you can watch 3D Blu-rays that were intended for 3D screens, but they work perfectly well with the PlayStation VR headset. So let's turn the PlayStation 4 on, and we're going to boot up the Avengers 3D Blu-ray. And then we're going to move over to PlayStation 3 and get a little bit more interesting. Here we go. Remember to tell your doctor before turning on the PS4. Okay. Turn on the controller, go straight into this, and we're going to go straight to the Avengers Blu-ray. And basically, we're going to play up into the point where the TV doesn't show anything. So for a while, it's going to be in 2D mode. I'm going to put this headset on, try and feel out where the controller is. There it is. And I'll let you know when I see something. You know what? You got to turn the headset on. That's an important part that I completely forgot. And now I can see something. There we go. Sorry about that. Forgot a step there. Alright. So we're booting up Avengers 3D. Don't worry, there'll be no copyrighted content. We're safe. I hope. Unless the Avengers theme plays. That won't be so good. Alright, the movie's starting. I think you can probably see this on the TV right now. I'm gonna skip ahead. And I'm just gonna double check that everything is in 3D before we do anything here. Okay, we're at the main menu. I think you probably won't be able to see the rotating A that I see right now, right? That's good, okay, that means we're in 3D. Just double checking everything's 3D before we do anything. Yep, that's 3D, cool. So I'm gonna take off PlayStation VR, and now I'm gonna take the HDMI from the back of PlayStation 4, take it out, not turning the console off, just taking HDMI out, putting it in PlayStation 3, and now we're turning on PlayStation 3. So nothing's actually changed on the PS4 side. We've just taken the HDMI cable out, so the video source is no longer feeding into PlayStation VR. And that same HDMI cable that was in the PlayStation 4 is now in PlayStation 3. So if I put the headset on right now, I would see a big virtual display as I usually would without any of this malarkey. But we're going to change something to make it a 3D display. And the first thing you have to do is have a hacked PlayStation 3, which is very easy to do. So go on the main menu, enable hen. And once this boots up into PlayStation 3 hen, there's then a very, very simple step of tricking it into being a 3D TV. So we're going to go all the way to the bottom of the settings over here. And on the PlayStation 3 controller, I'm going to hold down L1, L2, L3, down R1, R2. And that's, sorry, say it again, it's L1, L2, R1, R2, L3, and down. And that gives you debug settings. And from debug settings, we can go all the way down to this one here, 3D video output. That's usually on automatic, turn it to on. And now it's going to view any device as a 3D display. So we go to display settings, video output settings, HDMI, automatic, and it's going to ask you how big your TV is. But because this is a big virtual screen, we have no size. So I'm just going to put whatever, it doesn't really matter. And you can see there, it now recognizes 720p 3D and 1080i 3D. So now if we go into any compatible 3D game, such as Shadow of the Colossus right here, boot it up, it's going to then give us the mode to go into stereoscopic 3D, which usually wouldn't be there without a 3D TV being recognized. But the million-dollar question is, will it actually be 3D? And the answer we'll see, well, I can tell you. I can't really show you that well. I can show you inside the headset, I suppose. But let's see, let's put the headset on over here. Warning! They always warn you about doctor stuff. A really cool thing about PSVR as well is there is actually head tracking here. I see a big virtual screen, as if I'm in a cinema, but I can move my head around and it's not like the screen's moving with me. It's at a fixed point in space. But here we go. Do you want stereoscopic 3D? Yes. Another important thing to do is once we get to the main menu, display settings, yep, we'll keep these settings. Okay, this is in 3D right now. I can definitely, even from that movie, this menu is in 3D. So go to the option settings, 3D intensity, max that baby out all the way. And I can see this. I can see that the text at the bottom is on the forefront. The background is pushed way into the back. I can see the layers of the bridge. Two bridges, that first bridge and the bridge in the background. Everything is fully layered, and it's really, really cool. So right now, you guys can just sort of see two individualized screens. I see one big screen. So let's get a new game. And we're just gonna skip the first cutscene and go straight into gameplay as soon as this loads. But man, I think this is so cool. So I was looking at buying a 3D TV, but I have the ability to play all these games in 3D with the hardware I have without taking up any space, and it looks spectacular. This looks really, really good. It's like sitting in a cinema and just seeing a giant 3D screen. And I've not seen a 3D movie in the cinema in years. And I loved doing it. I loved seeing 3D movies. I love 3D content as a whole. And it is so, so cool. Seeing the scope of this world wander at the forefront, that text even further ahead. Where's Aggro? There's Aggro. So I'm going to get on Aggro's back a second. And we're just going to gallop around. And I can tell you the sensation of how cool this looks. So, God, the scope and how... Oh my God. So the dust that Aggro's kicking out from the mud is actually flying out of the screen. All those dust particles are going way beyond the barrier of the virtual screen. This is so, so cool. And there are lots of really good PlayStation 3 3D games. Sonic Generations is in 3D. The Sly games are in 3D. There's lots of really cool stuff that you can experience. If I turn the camera this way, Aggro is out of the screen. The feet are literally going beyond that border. This is stunning. I love 3D so much, and yet to be able to re-experience them in a really easy way, even though there's two systems hooked up right now. Once you're there, it's easy going. I love this. Anyway, I can just ramble on for ages. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble, fellas. I really love this. This is awesome. Thank you to the commenter who suggested this. I had to do a bit of research to figure out exactly how you get it working, but we're here now, and I think this is amazing. So thank you for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.